The last day of September marks the divine confirmation that you have passed your final spiritual test, and with that realization comes an unfolding of clarity that may feel almost overwhelming when you stop and reflect upon it. Throughout the month, and perhaps even for much longer, there have been trials that felt as though they were designed to push you to your absolute limits, testing your patience, your faith, and your resilience in ways you could never have imagined before. Each obstacle that appeared in your path was not random, but carefully placed as a mirror, reflecting back to you the inner strength and unshakable spirit that you may not have realized you carried. Every setback, every painful moment, and every confusion that surrounded you was part of a larger pattern, a puzzle piece in the divine design that has now revealed itself on this final day. What may have seemed like chaos in the moment was in fact guidance, a sacred orchestration meant to strip away illusions, distractions, and the old versions of yourself that could no longer continue forward with you into the next phase of your journey. On this final day of September, there is a deeper significance that resonates far beyond the turning of a calendar page. This moment is the culmination of countless lessons, hidden initiations, and unseen battles that you fought, not only against the world around you but within yourself. The doubts that crept in late at night, the weariness of wondering if you could keep going, the loneliness that came when no one seemed to understand what you were enduring, these were the fires through which your soul was tempered. Passing the final test did not happen overnight, it was the result of courage built brick by brick, of holding on when everything in you wanted to let go, of trusting the unseen even when the evidence around you suggested otherwise. It was about surrendering the ego, learning humility, embracing patience, and finding strength in faith when the path ahead was hidden in shadow. This confirmation does not come through grand signs alone but through subtle shifts that only your spirit can fully recognize. You may notice that what once triggered you now feels strangely powerless, as though the energy of those old struggles no longer has a hold over you. Where once there was anxiety, there is now a sense of calm, where once there was fear, there is a quiet confidence that whispers you are ready for what comes next. That shift within you is the true evidence that you have passed. It was never about external rewards or applause from others, but about reaching the place where your soul has grown beyond the tests that once defined you. The divine does not place such moments lightly, and it is not a coincidence that you are reading this message on this precise day. The alignment of timing is itself the confirmation, for only those who were meant to see this, those who were prepared for the next stage, would be drawn to it. Every chosen one must walk through seasons of testing, and this cycle has been particularly intense because it was meant to bring you to the threshold of your highest self. September has been a month of endings, closures, and completions, and the weight you have carried is evidence of the significance of this period. But to stand here now, at the end of it, is to stand in victory. It is not the loud, celebratory kind of victory the world often glorifies, but a sacred and quiet triumph that fills you from within, the kind that no one else can measure because it was your journey, your struggles, your nights of crying out for answers that brought you here. And yet, the universe knows, heaven knows, and the divine record bears witness to every step you took in faith. As you recognize this confirmation, you may also begin to see that doors which were once firmly shut will now begin to open, not because the world has suddenly changed, but because you have changed. Your vibration has shifted, your spirit has matured, and the final test you have passed has aligned you with a new frequency of blessings that can only meet you at this level. You could not have received them before because you were still being prepared, still being refined. Every disappointment you faced, every person who walked away, every opportunity that seemed lost was not a punishment but a redirection, ensuring that nothing less than what is destined for you could remain. You are no longer standing in the old cycle where struggle defined you, you are now entering the cycle where your victory begins to manifest. The divine confirmation is not always about a dramatic moment, but about the inner knowing that you are no longer the same person who began this journey. The transformation is not about what you gained materially but about who you became spiritually. On this last day of September, it is as if the universe itself is closing a book and handing you the first page of the next one, saying you are ready now to write your destiny with clearer eyes, stronger hands, and a steadier heart. You did not fail, you did not fall short, and even when you stumbled, you rose again. That resilience is what proved you were worthy of carrying the light you were entrusted with. If you find yourself reflecting on the hardships you endured, let them now serve as reminders of the strength you hold. The relationships that ended, the doors that shut, the rejections and delays, all of these were part of the testing ground that forged your spirit into gold. The final test was not about external success but about whether you could hold your faith when nothing made sense, whether you could love yourself when others did not, whether you could stand in your truth when everything pushed you to abandon it. You have done so, and because of that, the divine confirmation is now here. The significance of this day cannot be overstated, for it is more than just a date. It is a marker in your soul's timeline, a moment that you will look back upon and recognize as the turning point where everything shifted. You are not the same person who began September, and you will not enter October carrying the same burdens. That is the gift of passing the final test. It transforms you from the inside out so that the external world must eventually align with the change within you. This is the divine order at work, a law that cannot be broken, and your life is now a testament to it. The passing of every challenge you faced was never without meaning, for in every moment of struggle there was hidden preparation for the season that is now opening before you. The path you walked was never easy, and at times it may have felt as though you were walking it alone, but in truth you were always being guided, always being watched, and always being refined. Each obstacle that came your way was placed with divine precision, not to punish you but to awaken within you the strength and clarity that could only be born through fire. What seemed like setbacks were actually setups for your growth, what seemed like endings were actually gateways, and what seemed like losses were actually exchanges, removing what could not serve you in order to make room for what truly belongs. Passing this final test was about seeing whether you could hold faith in the dark, whether you could trust the unseen hand that was shaping your destiny, and whether you could continue to rise even when the weight felt unbearable. And you did. That is why this moment carries such power, because you have not only endured but transcended. This is the point where reflection begins to reveal the hidden wisdom in every chapter you thought was against you. The nights of pain that felt endless were forging resilience, the betrayals that broke your heart were teaching you discernment, the delays that frustrated your spirit were strengthening your patience, and the losses that shattered your world were anchoring you in humility and gratitude. These were not random occurrences, they were the curriculum of your soul, the lessons that only the chosen ones are given, because only those marked with purpose are tested in such ways. Passing the final test does not mean you are without scars, but it means your scars now carry the story of survival, victory, and transformation. Each one is proof that you walked through the fire and emerged not only intact but renewed. You may feel a strange shift within yourself now, one that is difficult to explain to others. Where once you sought validation, you now feel secure in your own worth. Where once you feared rejection, you now embrace redirection as protection. Where once you questioned your place in the world, you now sense that you were always destined to stand apart. This shift is the fruit of your endurance, the gift of having passed the test. It is not loud or boastful but quiet, steady, and powerful, a knowing that radiates from within you that you are no longer who you once were. The final test was about transformation, and you have been transformed. On this last day of September, the divine has chosen to seal this confirmation in a way that is unmistakable. You did not stumble upon this message by chance. It is evidence that you are aligned with the exact frequency needed to receive it. Timing matters in the spiritual journey, and the fact that this arrives to you now, at the closing of this month, is itself the sign. You were meant to carry this awareness forward, into a new chapter that begins immediately after this threshold is crossed. There is no more lingering in old cycles, no more clinging to what has expired. The doors behind you are closing because they must, but the ones before you are opening because you have earned the right to walk through them. Blessings, breakthroughs, and new opportunities are already aligning with you, not because they suddenly appeared, but because you have finally reached the level where they can meet you. Your frequency has shifted, your spirit has matured, and your path is no longer clouded by the lessons that once consumed you. This is why the test had to be endured, why it had to be passed, because without it, you would not have been ready to hold what is now coming. Every delay was divine protection, ensuring that you would only receive what was truly yours when you had been shaped into the one strong enough to carry it. That moment has now arrived. As you stand at this turning point, you may find that people, places, and habits that once felt necessary to you no longer carry the same weight. This is not loss, it is release. You are not losing, you are shedding. The divine will not allow you to step into your new season carrying the heaviness of the old, because your light must shine unburdened. That is why certain connections ended, why certain doors closed, and why certain paths were blocked. The final test was never about holding on to everything but about letting go of what was never truly aligned. In your letting go, you proved your trust, and that trust has become your ticket forward. The power of this moment is sacred. It is the completion of a cycle and the birth of another. You are standing on a threshold where destiny itself shifts, and this awareness is not something everyone receives. Only the chosen ones, those who are called to carry light, are given this recognition. That is why this message feels so personal, why it resonates deep in your soul. It was always meant for you. You did not miss your moment, you did not fail your test, you did not lose your place. You are exactly where you were meant to be, and this day confirms it. The last day of September is a marker of closure, but it is also the opening of something extraordinary. The final test you endured has elevated you, and now the blessings that were waiting can begin to flow into your life. This is not coincidence, it is divine timing. The season of struggle is giving way to the season of reward, and you are prepared to step into it with strength, wisdom, and grace.